BlocBuster started yesterday morning bright and early with the qualifiers round of 100 of the best climbers from Ontario, Quebec, Canada's West, and the American Northeast. This morning we started up in semifinals with the top 20 men and the top 20 women in an unforgiving round on the classic Climbers Rock steep concrete walls. Tonight in finals, we've narrowed that down to the top 6, and they're fighting over $6,700 going to the winner of this unique elimination style finals. These 6 climbers have been putting in 2 full days of effort, and all of it comes down to these next couple hours. We hope you'll join us for this elimination finals here at Climbers Rock in Burlington. This is BlocBuster 2019. Good evening, everybody. We are in Burlington, Ontario at Climbers Rock for the grand finals of BlocBuster 2019, part of the Tour de Bloc Season 16. We've been here for 2 days. Of course, you guys have just been watching for semifinals that started this morning, and we are ready to go. You're seeing a pan of the wall that we're about to talk about, and I want to welcome in my co-commentator, Dustin Curtis. Dustin, how are you feeling after semifinals?
Man, that round was so good, so dope. It had a little bit of everything. There was some trials. There were definitely some tribulations. We saw some climbers succeed. We saw some climbers that we expected to succeed fail. I think it's great. I'm so psyched for this round, man.
I think it was so unique after that first day where qualifiers was actually really forgiving. We saw for most of the men, well, we had the 2 top guys with 5 tops. Everybody else that made it to semis with 4 tops
yeah,
out of qualifiers. So an easy day, and today was a clear response to that from the route setters, just saying, okay, we need to narrow this down. We need to take it to 6 guys, and it was a punishing round. I think you'd probably agree.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the qualifying round was very forgiving. It allowed the climbers themselves to make the mistakes to get the separation for the route setters. But this morning, it was clear that the route setters wanted to make a statement and make sure that only those 6 that belonged in this finals got to that finals.
And let's talk about those 6. The people coming out include a lot of returning BlocBuster champions. So for the men in first, we'll just run through this in descending order. Coming out of semis in first is Lucas Uchida, followed by Zach Richardson, both of them former champions. Then Dylan Safari, Dylan Barks, another former BlocBuster champion. Sean Hunter, the oldest guy in the comp today, the only person born in the 80s. And then from the United States, along with Dylan Barks, is Eric Libby. And for the women, we have Madison Fisher, Bronwyn Karnas, who is the champion for the last 2 years, Leah Wachowski, Indiana Chapman, B. Evans, and Estelle Park. And let's draw the comparison between Sean Hunter, who I think is 31 right now, and Indiana and Estelle, who are both just, I think, 15 right now, 15, 16. So, you know, the gap is narrowing. We've had some years where the
it's been all over the place some years, yeah.
For sure. We've had some people born in the early 80s, and that's disappearing now. Late 80s as far as it goes, and it's pretty rare still.
It's still very rare, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to just kind of get you to give us a run through of the setting over the last couple days. I know we've got some video of the guys working for the last little bit. So could you tell us about the setting crew for this event?
Okay, so on the men's side, you had Caleb Thomas, National Chief. He was the chief of open bouldering nationals last year. He's got a ton of experience. I think it was super cool that they brought him down. And then Jamie Roy was his assistant. And on the women's side, Nathan Lewis. I can't imagine chiefing this comp.
When you dealt head setter, it's way easier to chief something when you're not the guy. Right?
I just want to look. I want to look that relaxed when I chief events.
Now I want to talk about the reason for having that extra chief setter, and a lot of it comes down to the unique situation that we're in with this comp. This format is completely nuts. For anybody that's tuned in the past, BlocBuster has historically been a fairly standard event with a World Cup style finals. This year they've changed everything, and they're trying a unique elimination finals. We're dealing with 3 problems. The men and women will try each of their series of problems, and after each problem, we are eliminating the bottom 2 climbers from each category. After the second problem, we eliminate a further 2, so that on the final third problem, we're only dealing with 2 climbers duking it out for the grand prize of $1,500. From a climbing perspective, I thought this would be extremely interesting, and the stress level knowing that you could get cut after one problem, like that's a wild thing to think about. You've been a competitor before, and I know you're a jittery climber under regular formats. Like, how would this make you feel?
This would easily be, like, as a climber and a competitor, I feel like I'd be stressed out of my mind, but I think the stress is much higher on the route setting side because they didn't even know who was going to go into finals. Usually we sit down, we have a running order, we're like, oh, this person's going to be in, this person, can they do that move? Yeah, probably they can do that move. But this is just like anybody, like, how would you plan for this?
Absolutely, and I actually had a chance to speak with the route setters earlier on today. I spoke with Nathan Lewis and Caleb Thomas, who were the chiefs for each of the categories. We spoke to them about that exact issue. We're going to run that interview for you right now.
I'm here with the lead setter for the men's round and women's round of BlocBuster 2019. So Caleb Thomas, lead set for the men, and Nathan for the women. And I wanted to ask you guys about the experience of setting for this really unique finals. And I think the first thing is, could you guys describe for me how this finals format works? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, the finals format for this is really interesting. It's really cool. It's really different. Basically what happens is it's a knockout style final. So all 6 competitors will come out on the first boulder, and then they'll basically get 4 minutes to try to climb it. And then the 2 people with the worst scores will get knocked out. Then the top 4 will go to the second boulder. Same idea. They get 4 minutes plus, I think, actually, for the second boulder to try to do the best they can. And then the bottom 2 guys are going to get knocked out from there. And then the final third boulder is like a showdown between the 2 best guys, which is definitely a unique format. Should be interesting.
So the thing about this format is, as route setters, you know that a talented climber only has that one climb to make an impression, and you could have the best climber of the day get knocked out right away just because they have either a bad climb or it's not their style. So when you guys went into setting this round, how did you approach that challenge?
I think with like a typical finals, you try to project the best that you can. You try to project who might be there, their ability, what they can do, and with this one, you really didn't know. We threw in a second round. There was a semis. So we're watching, projecting while we're setting. You know, that's in the moment, but preparing for, you just make your list. You put your stars beside who you think is going to be there. And now we know officially, but in preparation for it, it's really a whole lot of unknown.
So now that you've previously set the finals before the event to get a first idea, when you look at the results that we have now, what are you guys looking at on those skeletons you put up? What kind of changes are you thinking about making, and what's making you think now that you see the results?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what to do with the boulders because usually we have like a circuit. Like we have a round of 4 boulders that cohesively work together to create separation. But with this format, each boulder is kind of like its own round. You know what I mean? It's like its own little mini final is about to happen. So it's tough to know how difficult the boulders need to be. Like, for example, if the first boulder is too easy, then we don't have any separation for the better climbers. But at the same time, if it's too hard, like we don't have any show or anything like that, you know what I mean? No one's topping the boulder. It's a way thinner line than even usual. We don't have the ability to recover a little mistake or a misjudgment on our route setting by the fact that it's 4 boulders rounded out. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, it's a wild challenge. Yeah. We're wishing you guys the best of luck from the desk.
Route setting nightmare.
Good luck with the tweaks, and we'll see you guys later on tonight.
Awesome, thanks.
So interesting answers, just acknowledging that it's a challenge, and honestly, they've done their best with the setting. Now that they know who's going through to finals, they're trying to figure it out, and this is an experiment for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and they had a lot of time over the changeover to go over their tweaks. Now that they had a finalized list of who's going to finals, they spent a bunch of time, I know, reclimbing and tweaking the boulders to fit the category better. So we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I blanked because I just noticed that MC Rahul Sapra and Justine McCarney are getting it started, although it sounds like, I don't know, maybe their mic's not working on them. I'm not super sure, but anyway. the last thing I want to talk about before we start introducing the competitors is this comp has a certain identity and like a certain history that goes along with this gym. Could you walk the viewers through what that is?
Yeah, so typically because of the nature of these walls and the nature of the gym, this is a very steep and very powerful comp. Traditionally, it's been a lot of pulling, and there's no exception for that today. And it has a great history. Like 1 year it was the national Tour de Bloc Nationals. The first year I think I competed and came third to like John Glassberg and somebody else. I broke a screw.
Nice job.
Yeah, like there was a set screwed hole.
So you have a personal history here, basically.
Well, it's like a part of it, yeah.
Sure.
But I think like historically, this comp has been about like pulling and like about thuggery and like.
Yeah.
You can tell in the nature of the walls and the nature of the boulders. It's Burlington. We're gonna have some Burl Fest.
I've said it before. The hashtag is Burly Boulders. That's what it's all about here in Burlington. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting just thinking back over these years. Apparently, this is the 10th BlocBuster, or at least the 10th Tour de Bloc hosted here at Climbers Rock. Past winners include Sean McCall, Angie Payne, Magnus Mitbo, and of course, as the comp has gotten older and older, the winners have gotten younger and younger. And it kind of tells the story of a gym where when this gym first opened, there wasn't a community built in Burlington around climbing. And so a lot of those winners were from other parts of Ontario or other parts of the world. And as this gym built a community and built a youth program and built teams, slowly and slowly, the finals became more local people, and over the last couple of years, the winners have been homegrown Climbers Rock competitors. Even though it still attracts those people from around the country, it's now our climbers that are winning it. They probably have a bit of a home field advantage, or whatever. Like I'm not claiming that doesn't exist, but it's at least from my perspective. Having seen that evolution, it is really neat to watch. And
yeah,
it creates so much pride in the community, and so it makes me feel like This comp started small, right? Not many competitors, didn't have a live stream, didn't have an MC, didn't have a DJ.
Yeah, and now we have like a drone. There's a drone.
We have literal air traffic inside the gym today. So I think all I'm trying to say is like this is such an accomplishment to just keep something going like this.
Yeah.
Keep it growing little by little by little, and you end up with something that the whole community is proud of and attracts talent from everywhere. And I'm sure you've experienced that same thing at gyms across the country just as a route setter, I'm sure.
It's really cool and really unique. I also think that there's something to be said about the story of BlocBuster and how big how big it has become from just like a small Tour de Bloc to a Nationals to now like a full-fledged large event with, like you're saying, live stream and DJs and a drone, and like that kind of growth is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Something to mention for context. So for anybody viewing from other parts of Canada or from the States, in Ontario, our A and junior age athletes, so athletes from kind of like 16 and older, don't have a sanctioned opportunity to compete against open athletes, so athletes over 20 years old. They compete within their own categories at sanctioned comps, so they don't have a lot of chances to measure themselves against the other talent in the province. This is the first comp of the season where that's allowed, and not just for juniors and A's to compete. They also issued invitations to some B climbers and actually some C climbers who then did really well, not just in qualifiers.
No, we saw some of them in semis as well,
in semifinals. And that's such a nice thing for just climbers here, because that's what keeps you growing as a young climber. You do 5 years from D through C and into B, and by that time you're like pretty good for the most part, right? You want to see where you measure up, and for the true competitors, those ones that live and die by how they compete, that's such an important thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we're proud to be doing this. I want to talk a little bit about the field. You and I kind of had some personal bets about who would make it to finals, and when we tabulated everything after qualifiers, we realized that we're actually tied right now. 3 of my female picks are in finals and 2 of my male picks, and the inverse for you. So 3 of your male picks and 2 of your female picks. So right now we're tied. We guessed 5 competitors each. And that means we actually managed to predict 10 of the 12 finalists. So we're not half bad at this.
Not half bad.
I can't remember what we guessed last year, but at least
I think last year was worse.
Yeah. For me, the most interesting thing is the women's category.
Okay.
Now, for the last 2 years, the podium has been identical, right? Like
Yeah.
it stayed rock solid with Bronwyn Karnas, homegirl, sitting at number 1, Madison Fisher sitting at number 2, and Leah Wachowski, another homegrown Climbers Rock competitor, sitting at number 3. And all of them have been fighting to get higher on that podium, or in Bronwyn's case, just defend her first place. On the men's side, it's so much more open. We've seen people shift in and out of the first place. Zach Richardson was the first guy to win 2 BlocBusters, and he did them back-to-back. And then last year, Lucas Uchida knocked him right out of that spot.
And Lucas is going for his second time this.
And Lucas is looking really good today.
Yeah, he looked fantastic in semis.
But the other name we talked about among a very notable finals crew was Dylan Saffery, who over the last couple months has made a comeback after taking a year not off, but focusing on school for the first time, his first year in post-secondary, coming back, and he's just looked incredible through local events, winning Ontario Provincials, and then coming here and being one of the tied first-place guys out of qualifiers, crushing even like the hardest slab, which only 2 people topped.
Yeah, right?
Like, looking good. So,
and don't forget Dylan Barks.
So, yeah, Dylan Barks as well, like some incredible talent. I think at the moment, are we introducing talent right now? We are. So up on the screen now, we're going to be seeing our first climbers come out. The way this format works is we are going to start on problem number 1 just for the women. So we are introducing all 6 women who will be introduced to women's problem number 1. All 6 women will have 2 minutes to preview the problem together, and then they will each climb the problem for a hard 4 minutes. After that, we'll bring the men out, and they will climb and preview men's number 1. So on the screen already, you've seen our 6th place qualifier, Estelle Park, 5th place, B. Evans, 3rd place, Indiana Chapman, and 2nd place, Leah Wachowski, 3rd place, Leah Wachowski. Coming out now, Madison Fisher, I believe. Oh, sorry. See, this is me guessing too hard. There's only 2 left. I just got them backwards. Bronwyn Karnas, of course, the returning 2-time champion. And finally, the person that's been nipping at her heels for the last 2 years, Madison Fisher. And just look at like the top 3 girls like bread on steep walls. Madison Fisher originally starting climbing at Grand River Rocks, which I mean is another, festival.
It's very similar, yeah.
Yeah, also built by Rockworks Canada. Anyway, they are now inspecting women's problem number 1. That is F1, and we wanted to take a dive into this problem to really inspect what all these holds are and what these moves are like. Women's one starts off on transitions through a steeper 36-degree section, for the most part on Block's dual text volumes with geo-jibs from Kilter, and then of course those giant blue E-grips loafs, finishing just over the corner on a tiny half-pad Technic crimp. What were your first impressions when you were looking at this thing?
So first off, I want to say I love the use of the dual text volumes. It looks really clean, and the way that it climbs, they've really utilized that dual text to block or to reduce your ability to use them as feet or hands. The last move is surprisingly very tensiony. You get those 2 E-grips loaves, and you get a toe hook underneath with the big one, on the big one, while your left foot is posting on that Block's dual text volume, and you cross to this going to be one of the more serious moves. The opening moves are fairly forgiving in terms of you have good holds. I know you can't see it on the feed right now, but so where B is grabbing, that has actually a large screw-on on it that is fairly uncut. So the opening move looks like it'll be an issue, but it's actually fairly good and fairly controlled. Then moving through that middle section, I forget what I saw in forerunning. Now I'm blanking on it, but I think there's some weird toe hook beta that happens on the largest of the E-grip loaves, while I
could see that
trying to foot first, trying to match it and stuff. Again, I think the use of the dual text rate in this boulder is what really makes this boulder unique and going to make it an interesting challenge for the girls. Keeping in mind that we are eliminating 2 girls right off the bat.
And that's the crazy thing about this is we don't know what style that this climb is going to suit. I mean, for the most part, the holds are large and slopey, aside from a couple crimps. It's going to be really interesting. Like you said about dual techs, it takes those volumes that would previously have been an option, and now they are like not on the table unless you're willing to commit to really sketchy feet. So our first climber out, the 6th place qualifier after semifinals from Chicago, is Estelle Park.
It's important to note that we are also using a points per hold score system. So Tyler and I have we have the route maps in front of us drawn by the route setters. We're trying to keep you guys informed as much as possible about scores. Yeah.
Nothing makes a boulder comp better than route maps.
Oh my gosh, man! I like. I was talking to Caleb about this, and I was like, when was the last time you made a route map?
No kidding. Anyway, Estelle Park is up on her very first attempt. Again, there is a little left-hand crimp on the inside of that starting volume. It is just a little geo-jib from kilter, so you can get your fingers around it, but it's only about a half pad. And if I remember right, they were doing pluses as well, right? Is that so?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you get points per hold or for pluses.
There's no minuses though, right?
No minuses. Thank God. Let's forget that period of rock climbing. That was for anybody with some judging history. Y'all remember that. That's a second attempt for Estelle, not managing to control the third scored handhold, which is the loaf directly above her starting position. Very cool.
Very cool, yeah.
Now at this point, it looks like this traverse should be pretty simple, aside from the fact flat sloping edge. I'm worried about her. Then she might be able to do that somewhat controlled, but yeah, maybe she can figure something out on her second attempt.
So that would be 7+, I believe. For those of you keeping score at home,
yeah, I would give that 7 at least, possibly a 7+. If you're looking for scores, we'll show them periodically here on the stream, but you can also follow along at BlocBuster.ca. So BlocBuster.ca has all the scores, also from the previous rounds. And if you're wondering what happens in a tie, it does go back to count back from previous rounds. Or as we get through these problems, if there's a tie on, say, women's number 2, we'll count back to women's number 1. And so this is her 4th attempt. Get one hand, and that matches her previous high point. I wouldn't give that one a plus.
No. That's
not quite progression in the.
The competitors are also finding out the high points. So
talk about the progress of the climbers.
Okay.
So they don't have everybody that knowledge, that not just hearing a cheer if somebody topped, not that kind of pressure, but pressure of knowing exactly what hold you have to get to in order to knock out the next climber. And so Estelle on her 5th attempt now.
Isabel.
Replay of that last attempt. Anything here? I'm probably just making stuff up that doesn't make sense. Of that volume, but it's whited out. Nothing you can do.
Oh, okay. So the clock is up.
Oh, I love a good clock. 27 seconds left, and again, this is a hard 4-minute limit for the first round of boulders. For the second and third problems, it'll be a 4+. And if Estelle can bring that hand to the loaf,
I don't think that's the beta. I don't think bringing your foot up is going to help you.
What do you think they've got to do to approach that?
I think you've got to come into that blocks volume on the left with your foot. So kind of like a ninja kick stab.
Out for the women, the 5th place Estelle's final attempt.
So yeah, when her feet cut out like that, I think she needs to stab that volume.
You want to swing in the other direction.
Yeah, the other direction to kind of control that. The opposition between that large volume.
Good call.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's see what B does on her very first attempt.
This has to be so crazy stressful for them because they don't know what kind of well, now they do, but sitting in ISO, you wouldn't know what you're coming out to. Maybe it's not your style. Maybe it's a boulder.
Even if this problem's your style, even if you feel incredibly good, better than you always do, just a feeling of you have to do it on this problem. You don't have other problems to come back or to make up for it. That's, I think, the mental game of this for this kind of format would be really, really nuts. Bevan going into her 2nd attempt now.
Okay.
Getting the 3, and she could get, that's 4 with the match on the loaf. In fact, most of the holds on this climb are considered matchable by the route setters, so she will get extra points just by getting a second hand on each of these holds as she traverses.
Okay, so B. Evans.
This is such B. Evans beta, man.
Yeah, no, she's showing off that she's got flexibility skills for forever.
That's really cool. Oh!
Yeah. See,
I can't give that an 8, but I imagine judges would give her a 7+ on that.
yeah, absolutely. But see how her foot like just tagged the volume.
Sure.
I think that's like that is the beta, is you have to like tag that volume with your kind of like a little bit of a ninja kick almost.
I like that. Do you think she was disadvantaged by her body position, not letting her really kind of swing and get herself into that foot because she was really just sliding down that hold? Do you think it would be better to do a full kind of ninja kick?
Yeah, I'm not sure because like we both said, this is a very that beta is very B. Evans. Like she likes to use her feet. She likes to show off that he has flexibility. She likes to.
She's willing to try creative things.
Yeah, absolutely.
A few months ago, she was at a lead training camp, and she went up one wall and then went down the other, and then asked to do it again. I think she did about like 250 feet of climbing over 7 minutes. And the members were just like staring there and wondering, what's this girl doing? But yeah, just some really unreal strength. And I think creativity like that helps her find out rest positions, some really wild stuff. So third attempt now for B. Evans. Hoping to get beyond a 7+, hoping to get both hands securely on that giant loaf pinch on the left of the screen.
Okay. So see what she does here. She had to feel like she has more information now.
Oh, wow. All right, so that is 8. That's the new score to beat so far with a minute left to go. She's going to keep on going.
Let's see, 9. Yeah.
Interesting.
I like that hip lock. That's cool.
I'm wondering if she's planning on using that lower left loaf at all. Or if she's going to try and reach right to the finish.
Is she going to try and skip?
I think she's going to go. Oh, never mind. That is at least 11.
I think she just asked if she got a plus on that as well.
Including head judge Tim Vince and our judging coordinator Lorraine Winger. Right now, there are 4 judges on this problem watching everything movement, and between the 4 of them, they form a jury, and their decision is final. There will be no appeals at the Chapman, and she's already up on the 5th hold there, 6th. Indiana Chapman, again, one of our youngest competitors, born only 2003. This is her very first year of eligibility as an open athlete.
Whoa, and she's making it look easy.
Such a good first.
I like that. She tagged it just point. It doesn't have any points.
That's so good.
She's such a seasoned competitor.
She's been climbing forever. Man.
Yeah.
That's our first top. That's a flash from Indiana Chapman.
Well, she's got. This means that she's going home.
Yeah, there's already 2. Will be moving on to the side. Not a bad start, man. Not a bad start.
It seems like Indy isn't even phased by this this format.
This has been such a smooth comp for her. She qualified out of qualifiers in 3rd place. She missed a perfect record by a single attempt to top, and then she came out of semis, of course, in 4th place. So she's been holding it down and really competing with the big girls this entire time. Our next competitor out is homegirl Leah Wachowski, a Climbers Rock ambassador. She was recently down in Ecuador competing as a lead climber at the Pan American Open Championships. But I think in her heart of hearts, she's really a boulderer. That's what happens when you grow up here at Climbers Rock.
Leah looking a little shaky off the start, but I think she's just like she's just trying to regain some composure. Yeah. And she's already into it.
Looking so good. Just this is
yeah.
Perfect potential for the Puccio campus. Put a chalk bag on her, get a little one-hand chalk up. Come on. Excellent climb, and I think she's going to.
She looks so composed.
This is nothing for Leah right now. Although we have seen her blow tops this competition. Oh, and risking it all on that volume. Foot. Unreal. Another flash from Leah Wachowski. Great climbing from her. And we're down to another Climbers Rock ambassador, your 2nd place qualifier, Miss Bronwyn Carness. So again, for context, if you want to talk about performance anxiety, aside from the fact that you got to show up on this one problem to get any further,
and now like
she's also the defending 2-time champion. She's won at the last two.
she knows that there's been tops. Like she's not sitting in
Yes.
ISO just going, "Oh, I wonder why Indy's back so early." Like she
She knows what's up.
she knows what's up.
Yeah.
So, but you got to figure these top girls are gonna like.
Oh no. That's all right. Well, she still has a chance. So at this point, she can still. So that's going to count as an attempt. She's already at a
Yeah.
disadvantage.
So now she like, but if she tops the boulder, she'll be in third.
If she tops the boulder, yes, there's potential that she'll be knocked out, but a very good chance. So long as she outdoes Estelle Park and B. Evans, she should be okay. But I mean, you think about if the next problem comes down to countbacks, and if she gets a top but -1, that could be the thing that knocks her right out of the competition.
That's true. I think the way this format is working is making it. It's not giving you any leeway for mistakes. Like you cannot make errors.
Not at all. And I think that's really interesting from a spectator perspective for sure. But competitors, it's something new to get used to. And it's really interesting that the foot first beta has kind of become a thing. I guess it makes sense. There's not a lot of other places to do it.
Bronwyn looks like she's struggling a little bit on that crimp.
I'm curious it was neat seeing her other foot come underneath. Interesting knee bar as well.
Yeah, this is looking good, Bronwyn. Okay, so one of the things that I did just notice is that the root setters did change the finishing hold to be better.
What was it before? Because that still looks like it's a Technic-In cut I saw earlier on, but it may have changed since then. Oh, no.
And she didn't get, because she didn't reach out to the other one, she would have only got 10 plus.
All right.
10 plus.
All right, so 2 minutes left with a 10 plus on her second attempt. Not bad. That's going to mean that she at least goes past Estelle Park. If she can get that one more move this round, she can tie up B. Evans, and then she go count backs and keep going through to the second round. But she needs to at least get that second last hold, that loaf on the far left. She at least has to get that on this attempt. Otherwise, she needs a top with just a minute and 32 left. Again, this is a replay.
Yeah, right
and
now
let's see what happened. Like,
she's
her positioning seemed decent. And was it a reach through, or did she go with her left hand first? Because that crimp is facing towards the left, so you need to oppose it from the right. Oh, no. As she reached out, it looked like her body unfurled and just pulled her away from the wall.
And she's also trying to keep her body on top of that loaf.
Sure.
And you can see she's trying to like twist her hip out and adjust her hips so that they're closer to the wall. And I think if she drops that foot, it could work out as a better position for her to move forward.
Sure.
This is her last attempt, probably.
And she needs to get that 11th hold or the top. Those are her only two options, and she needs to do it on this attempt.
That was kind of cool, like the fall in with the...
That made me worry. That made me look like she's feeling tired under a lot of pressure. You just gotta hope she goes for that next hole just to get the points.
Yeah, see again, she's adjusting that hip, trying to like get herself.
Oh no! I don't think she's gonna get that. I think she's gonna stay as a 10 plus her third attempt, and that may just be our return two-time champion knocked out in the very first round.
What is this format? What am I looking at?
Like we said, this is the ultimate opportunity for upsets. Just that sync problem is the decider for everything. This is really unreal. And I'll be honest, I've never watched a round this close.
My hands are
being very
my
intent.
palms are so sweaty. Like I don't know what you guys are like at home, but like whenever I watch climbing comps, I get I get the sweaty palms and the clammy fingers, and this is.
Yeah, I don't want the cameras to come to us because I am so tense right now. It's really nuts. Okay, Madison Fisher, last 2 years in a row at BlocBuster, she's finished in second place. The fact that Bronwyn has now put herself down to possibly be taken out of this round if Madison actually does top this, that's a huge deal for her. She will have knocked down the very first round the climber that has stopped her from that first place for 2 years running.
Madison looks really, really controlled right now.
Can you imagine the stress?
No, I can't.
The climber,
I'm stressed watching.
The climber that
she barely got that. Okay.
Oh my god.
Tyler, are you okay?
I've got nothing to say. I just want to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh god. Oh wow. Incredible from Madison Fisher.
Skipping that hole too, like she didn't even match.
What? Okay, that's unreal. So if my scores are right, when the girls come back out for round 2, we're going to be handing a check to, I believe, Stell Park and Bluming Carnus, and they'll be sent to sit down as the other 4 move on to problem number 2. What a great finish to problem number 1. That's such a great problem.
That's a really good problem. Kudos to the root setters. I thought, like,
yeah,
so one of the tweaks that they made, I was talking about it earlier, I just want to revisit it, is I think that, like, the finishing hold has an edge on it. And originally it was one of the kilter geodes.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with those holds, there's no edge. You're just like it's
just a faceted sloper. Yeah. No, I think is a technique, so it's slightly cut. I think it actually is better than it was before. It's a tweak.
Like,
yeah, no, absolutely. They did a great job. All right, climbers out now. The first of our men to check out problem number 1 for the boys from the United States, representing Chicago, the Detroit area. After some time at Plant Rock is Eric Libby. Beside him, Sean Hunter from Toronto. Following him, a previous BlocBuster champion back in 2013, Mr. Dylan Barks from Michigan. Our third place qualifier from Guelph, Ontario, Dylan Saffery.
There's 2 Dylans this round.
That's too many. It's a lot to keep track of. Second place qualifier and 2-time BlocBuster winner, Zach Richardson. As Raul just said, the defending BlocBuster champion, Lucas Uchida from Toronto, Ontario. They are now going to get a chance to preview men's number 1, the problem that will decide which 2 men go home in the next half hour. Let's take a look at this men's number 1, M1, and see what the guys are looking at. So starting off, a lot of volume, some dimension, blocks. For the most part, this climb is made of the flat hold, damage control range, and then finishes up using those bright blue or purple, depending on what screen you're looking at, mammoth rub jugs. So a dual text gloss on the outside and differentiating somewhat juggy crimps, somewhat juggy slopes, straight up jugs, a mix of everything, right? Did you take a look at this thing? Did you see anything?
Yeah, so like, I talked to Caleb in depth about this boulder because I thought it was really interesting. I actually thought it was too easy at the start, but because if you're looking at it right now, like there's jugs on this boulder. Yes. There's like big holes.
Yep.
But it actually climbs a little bit more powerful, and there's a lot of opportunities for falling, especially on the opening area where you're standing on those slopey dimension wedges, and you have this crimp. Originally, that crimp was facing more of an undercling, so you could use it to create purchase on those 2-dimension wedges. But Caleb tweaked it so that you have to hold down on that crimp now, which means you really have to focus on standing on your feet, get that jug, and then I would say that the top section is classic climbers rock right there. With
in-cut crimps, steep, really big pulls.
And pulling, and it's campusing, and
we were talking about this art as the setters were tweaking it, and that starting position, again, you're leaning really low on a bad sloper, like genuinely bad. There's no flat section of it. It's all tilted away from you, and the feet are also kind of trash. Now, the setters made it look like it wasn't too bad, but I was getting these like terrible flashbacks to 2 years ago when Zach Richardson, who in fact won that comp, there was one problem he couldn't do, and in fact, he never established a start. It was all flat holds in exactly this wall, and he could just not get off the ground, and it was a position very much like this. Holding low on a sloper with very insecure feet. He just couldn't make it happen. So in my head, I'm just so worried there's going to be a repeat of that.
Yeah, well, and the setters did a lot to make sure that you don't have any opposition off of the start. So, even though the hold is good, the good part is turned away from the foot that you want to be pushing against, right?
All right, so the first climber who's going to be trying this is Eric Libby, again, living in Chicago, hanging out at First Ascent. His most recent results that we could find were late in 2018 when he was in Pittsburgh for the Steeltown Throwdown. Placed 29th, and this time he's coming in 6th here at the BlocBuster Finals presented by Climbers Rock, and here is his first attempt.
Okay.
Ooh! Okay, what do you think? So holding that jug with one hand would give you 3 points. I don't call that control. In my opinion.
I wouldn't give that control. I think he has 2+ right now.
I would call
but
that
also
2+.
he did tag across the black tape, right?
Yes, that black tape is soft black tape. You're allowed to make contact with the wall on the other side, but if you're using those features for anything, even if it's just to gently stop a swing, technically that could end your attempt.
Yeah, so I wonder how the judges are handling this boulder right now, because just judging that first attempt, there's going to be a lot of that.
In my opinion, he secured the 2+ at least, holding onto that crimp and moving
Yeah, no,
off
absolutely.
Of it. So the 2+ at least for sure. But it is making me worry about how the other climbers are going to deal with it, and if the volumes on the other side of the black tape are going to cause a lot of trouble. Fortunately, again, 4 different judges watching one climber at a time, so I'm sure the calls will be excellent. 2 minutes and 38 seconds left on the clock for Eric Libby.
Yeah, so see that. So see the like during that attempt, you saw that his foot slipped off. Yeah, perfect. But, we're so fancy. We have instant replay and everything. Like, this is amazing.
Exactly what we wanted. Like getting close, but just not holding onto this this blue or purple. So it looks blue on our screen. If anybody's confused, these mammoth rub holds look very.
Oh, that was
there.
Cool.
It is. So that's 3. If he doesn't match it, he's not going to get 4, but he will earn 5. If he matches his right hand, he'll earn extra point right now.
And so now, like, you can see that hold is blocked, so he can't get good purchase on his foot. He will just tension it out. Perfect.
Just opting to stay on the dual text. Yeah. Skipping the match, but taking the match there. So that is 7, 8, and a top. Nice work from Eric Libby. That is a top. And if I remember right, that was 4 attempts.
I feel like it was 5.
You think it was 5?
I don't know.
All right, well, we're going to note down 4 or 5. The scorekeepers will give the actual score. But, man, very interesting to see a top like right away.
Well, and I wonder how the route setting crew is handling that, because that wouldn't be what I would expect right now.
Well, again, you know, the men's category was so easy in qualifiers that it really shuffled things up. You had a lot of climbers we didn't expect to go into semis, going into semis. Semifinals did a better job of rearranging everybody. But who knows? You know, somebody like Eric might be actually one of the strongest competitors here, just didn't make it higher up in the ranking order. So we'll see what happens. Our next climber, Sean Hunter from Toronto, hasn't really been in the competition game lately. For the most part, he's on the other side of the drill as one of the premier setters in Ontario and in Canada.
Yeah, I know he's been setting a lot of comps recently, and he's done. He was at provincials. I don't think he was chief. I think Adrian was chief. Sickness.
Nails it. We'll see if he gets called off, if they consider that a tap or not, but that looked great. And just straight up bowling. Nice work. Do you think he matched that?
No, he did. Yes.
Oh, there it is. Sweet. So
man,
4+ for Sean Hunter on
this is such an awesome setup we've got going on. Replays
cool.
when I want them.
Very, very cool. Brushing the crimps, do what you got to do. There's a lot of mixed feelings about these mammoth rub holds. I got it. When I first saw them, I was concerned. But in my opinion, they took an oldie grip set, and basically they discovered some rock outside that looked similar to what was originally just bad dual techs. But now it's been, and honestly, these jugs are super fun to climb on. Like, we got some boulders up at our gym. I've been having a blast on them. I know a lot of people think they might not be like competition style holds. And in honesty, we've been blocking them for the most part because they are really good. But as commercial holds, I've had a blast on these things.
So I mean, again, like they all know what has been done. So Sean knows that there's been a top on this thing.
Yes. Yeah, and well, talking to Sean, like, he didn't think he was going to get into finals anyways. In fact, he was
supposed to be our MC, right?
He was supposed to be emceeing right now. Had a great semifinals, and now he's decided to compete. So, and that looks like a replay of his second attempt. Spending a lot of time brushing.
Well, I think as we progress through the round and progress through the people that are climbing on this boulder, the volumes are going to start to get a little bit more rubber in, a little bit like they'll get a little bit more slippy.
Sure, yeah. The volumes were used this morning, but aside from that, they are brand new, so there is a little bit of sheen on them, a little bit of gloss.
A little bit,
right?
yeah.
So they haven't been broken in. They might not feel exactly the way you want them if you're used to climbing on volumes like that. And Sean,
Also, keep in mind that wall is overhung, right? So, like,
yeah, that. let's talk about the wall, man. The start of that climb is on a 12-degree overhang wall. There's nothing vertical about that, so you are in the steep, and that volume pushes you back. The upper part of the climb is on a 45-degree overhang, so the entire time you're leaning back, stepping on really, volumes angled really far away from you. Sean just showing his experience. He seems to have a really good sense of how much time he needs to put this climb down, but just whiffing it later on. His high point still 4+.
He needs higher. He needs more progression. He needs more points because honestly, if you're in this format and you go, you finish boulder number 1 with like, what is it, 4+?
Yeah, with only a 4+.
Yeah, like that's not
a good sign so far for Sean.
And you can't be seen like.
He's going back on with 8 seconds. See if he can rush through and maybe get a 5th. Oh, so close. But it's going to end up with that 4+ on his very first attempt.
That's got to be a stressful thing for him. He's got to be really worried now going into ISO.
For sure. I think it points out just how, it's a unique start position, but the move by itself, there might be some psychological issues going around that corner and knowing you don't want to tap or use those other holds.
And also just it might ease the other guys' minds a little bit, just knowing that like there is that buffer down there of like, oh, Sean only has 4+.
Maybe.
If I get further than that, I might be okay.
That's a very good point. Very good point. So on the screen now, Dylan Barks, a former champion here at BlocBuster. Now at this point, 6 years ago in 2013, an all-around strong guy, and we love having him out. Let's see how he does on his oh my God. Okay, sure. Just make it look that easy.
Oh man.
I'm not going to comment or curse it though. I'm just going to sit here and watch. I'm not going to.
What?
Okay. All right, Dill.
Yes.
Those are the moves that won him this thing back in 2013. If he can keep this up, he is looking excellent for a win here. That's a flash from Dylan Barks on problem number 1.
He's going on the next round.
That guarantees him going on to problem number 2.
That campus was so cool. I mean, like, it's very...
This right here, just going for the match, willing to do that, like, just, oh. I love it. I love it, love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Top in 1. Great job from Dylan. He's got a lock in the next round.
Well, look at his face when he's like, why did you guys put these jugs on this wall? I don't understand. Like, it's just, they're so good. Like, why is this thing so good?
I love it, man. Good stuff. All right, our next climber out, Dylan Saffery, another Dylan, back-to-back Dylan Saffery from Huron, Ontario. He recently finished first place at Ontario Open Provincials. And he's somebody that we've been talking about as somebody that's shown such consistently good results over the last few months. And if he goes for the match as well, going for, oh yeah, this must be it.
I wonder if they discussed this in the preview.
I want to know who didn't tell Eric and Sean about the match beta. I don't think the memo got through to those guys. I share your beta fairly, everybody.
I feel like
nice from Dylan, earned the 5th score. It's interesting that they felt like they should. Because this move is obviously something you can do in kind of a 360 movement, but the setter still assigned 2-point values for each of those volumes with crimps on, doing anything can to separate competitors on each attempt. Another nice cross.
I love that.
Oh no! It's the CR bump! Using a wall, my favorite thing.
Okay, well that secures Dylan into the next round. We only have 2 climbers left.
Gotta love that. That's a really good way to start.
Now it does go back to count.
Yeah, so if we have ties, it goes to a count back to the last round, or if it needs to, it goes another round beyond that. Okay,
but assuming, like, if Zach and Lucas both flash this boulder, then Sean and Eric are up.
Yes.
And Eric topped the boulder.
Eric topped the boulder, and that might not be enough.
That feels like, if I was Eric, I'd feel so worried right now.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so next climber out is Zach Richardson. Here's sizing up the wall. He's the guy I'm a bit worried about because, again, this particular section of the wall has been traumatic for him in the past. Still
also not necessarily known for his footwork.
He's a bit of a campus boy, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's looking good so far.
Do you think he's going to go for the throw, or is he going to go with it?
Yeah, he's
going for it.
He's throwing.
Nice hold from Zach. Great stuff.
And he should, like, this should
Pro CR climbing.
This should just.
Oh! Zach knows it. That's the most subtle, like, acknowledgement of the crowd I've ever seen. He just gave an eyebrow raise. I love that from Zach. Feeling
Yeah,
good.
see, he's even like, yeah, I know.
Hey guys, this is a little easy. Check this. I love this. Watch when he faces crowd. Saying a little, yeah, guys, obviously, I got this. Great work from Zach. So Zach also locked in for problem number 2.
I mean, kudos to the root setters. If you guys get 4 flashes out of this, that's what takes you to the next round. You guys nailed it.
This is looking really, really good. And of course, our final male climber, Lucas Uchi from Toronto. He won it last year. He stole the title from Zach Richardson, and he's looking to defend it against some very hungry competitors.
Yeah, and so I would say that this is where like Lucas needs to really become mentally tough, because he knows that like there's been 4 flashes. Like again, they're not sitting in ISO, and like Dylan and Zach both come back from like within a period of like 4 minutes. Yeah. Lucas isn't like sitting there being like, oh well, I guess they just they all like gave up early.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now the men's root setters, in their opinion, they think Lucas is the guy that should win. They have him picked as the best climber of the field so far.
Do you know who else has him picked as the person that wins?
I think you do. Actually. Yeah, but I disagree. I think Zach Richardson's going to take it back. Family pride, love is blind. There's nothing I can do. Sorry, bud. Another smooth campus, not facing out, but just doing what he has to do.
Checking out that hold.
Ooh, that's an awfully big ball for missing it a bit on the side, but nice flash from Lucas Uchida.
He almost bumbled it just a little bit, eh?
That's pretty wild.
Well, so now, now I want to talk about Eric.
So after this replay, and that's actually interesting, seeing that he was in a little bit of trouble finding that foot. All these guys trying to find toe in there, but then eventually deciding against it. And an easy top. Right now, we're gonna throw to a quick break, and we'll be back with women's problem number 2 in just a moment. All right, we're back, and the next thing coming up is bringing back our women for a preview of women's number 2 and handing the checks to the 6th place and 5th place climbers who have already been knocked out. We're going to see who the MCs announce in those, because we don't want to jinx it. We don't want to call it incorrectly.
The commentator curse.
But if we have it right, we believe Estelle Park and 2-time defending champion Bronwyn Karnas may be the ones that got knocked out after that problem number 1. We're going to see what happens as we sort this out. I'll be honest, like in my head, I knew coming into this that there's a lot of room for upset, but I didn't think it would be this, right?
No, absolutely. No, like neither one of us just sat down and was like, you know who's going to go out first? Bronwyn.
No, yeah, again, Bronwyn was my pick to win it. She was the one I had the most faith in. But again, if it comes to a single problem, you take any of the best climbers of the world, and that's
a lot of stress, yeah.
And here it is, Estelle Park being handed her check. She's done her BlocBuster run, and it is true. 5th place this year, Bronwyn Karnas getting knocked out on the first problem in a very, very brutal elimination format. No room for mistake. And now we have our 4 competitors who will be moving on and previewing problem number 2. B. Evans from Toronto. Very happy that she slipped through to the next problem. Great work from her. Indiana Chapman also making it on to the next round. Leah Wachowski next. And of course, last place, or finally, Madison Fisher coming out also with a flash on women's number 1. So at this point, we're going to take a preview of women's number 2, that is F2. We're going to see what this problem looks like and check out what the root setters have in store for us. So first of all, this looks like it may be one of the most vertical walls in the gym. It is not.
It's not.
This climb sits on a 26-degree overhang comprising of all of these big dimension volumes. The climb starts off on a very, very generous Southern jug by Kilter. It's of the same line as Jimmy's Southern Slopers, but it's a huge protruding jug that lets you get a lot of momentum. You're tossing out to the right. We're going to be greeted by more volumes, more of that mammoth rub, and then finishing on a low rail as your final hold. What did you think about this climb after taking a look at it?
So the first thing I said to Nathan when I looked at this boulder is that for a points per hold round, there's not a lot of holds on this, and therefore not a lot of points. I think this is a very standard boulder now. You get like you do the kick momentum and paddle to catch the jug, and then you finish with a big move. It's pretty standard now. It's not like not when this move first came out and we were all like blown away by like a paddle dyno. Now it's pretty standard. I think I'm curious to see how the elimination looks on this, because I feel like it's going to come down to attempts.
Yeah, so what I heard from the comp organizers was that their original kind of sketch of how the rounds would go is that the first problem would just be long, right?
Yeah.
Make a long route, get some separation. That'll break off a couple climbers and hopefully give some count back potential for late. Now, of course, it doesn't look like it turned out that way. We got a lot of flashes from a lot of the boys, so still may have to count back to semifinals.
And the girls. We had 3 flashes.
Exactly. And then they said that the second problem, they wanted to be that big throw. They wanted to be that dyno and have come down to attempts rather than points per hold. So we're seeing that theme that they were talking about show up. And the last problem, of course, is just going to be straight up hard and a show of who can win this thing under the most pressure of the year. Our first climber to take this on will be the lowest ranked climber, and that is B. Evans, who in the last round managed to get 11 points in 3 attempts. That clearly separates her. If this thing goes to count back, she is out.
Yes.
She is the only one that didn't flash, problem number 1. So she needs to make big moves on this to make it through to that final 2, problem number 3.
Also, it's important to note, Tyler, that the middle dimension volume, so the volume that you paddle off of, has no score.
Really?
Yeah, there's no points on that volume.
So if you, and it is obviously very difficult, but if you manage to stick that kind of 5-sided volume, you don't get anything for it.
Nope.
It's all to the mammoth. Very, very cool. Also to note, that starting in this problem and for the final problem, it's now a 4+ round. So you can get on the ball at that very last second and be able to burn that time for one last attempt.
I'm excited for how that looks for the neck boulder.
Totally.
I think that like the plus won't really matter in this circumstance, because unless you fall off the finish.
Well, the interesting thing is you don't necessarily have to get to the finish. You just need that extra hold, right? That one extra plus. That might be the thing that puts you over.
I think all these girls have a lot of experience with this kind of movement. So I'm not necessarily, like I said, I think it'll come down to attempts. I think this is within all their skill sets. I just think that it'll be how many times it takes you.
Yeah. Second attempt for B. Evans. And now, do you think most of the women are going to do, because B kind of like faked the paddle, you know, at that point it wasn't looking like she was going 2 hands to the paddle and dropping into the jug. It's kind of a courtesy pass to the paddle hold. She looked like she was aiming for the mammoth. Again, this one, all the girls know this move, but this is a huge move in this instance.
Yeah, and I wonder what her decision making is to go to the double Gaston when that blue hold that you paddle to is so juggy. I feel like you need the dimension volume paddle in order to get that far, right? And travel that distance.
Third attempt for B. Evans. Great momentum. Oh, there it is!
I stand corrected.
Third attempt, knocking it out with a top. That is a top in 3 for B. Evans. And hopefully those attempts don't burn her, because otherwise a really excellent score on this problem.
Can I just say right now, I'll throw it out there, and maybe I'm wrong, but Madison Fisher, this is your boulder. This is like...
No kidding.
This is a boulder for her.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, Leah as well. Again, I think 2 of them are extremely powerful. The one I think maybe slightly disadvantaged is the climber coming out right now, Indiana Chapman, who, just being younger than everybody else, is currently a little shorter, not by a ton, but a little shorter in stature, and she's going to need even more air than the rest of them.
She has done a lot of international events and has a lot of that international experience where this style of boulder would show up.
Absolutely. Getting right to it. She knows what she's got to do. She's just got to do it well. And she's actually trying the paddle.
Yeah. I
That's what I like.
She's going to need the paddle.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Since we've been talking about holds, I want to shortly just shout out all of the hold sponsors that have been helping us provide holds for this event. So a big thank you to... I'll also take a second to thank our community sponsors who have been providing prizes for the Citizens Round. So thanks to Kanga Climbing, Flashed Climbing, Friction Labs, and Tembo Climbing, all of them providing really those most memorable things that a lot of people take away from these comps. So thank you, guys. And here's Indiana Chapman on attempt number 2.
Yeah, she knows what's up. Like, she knows she's onto it. But now the bigger issue is if she tops it next go, now she's tied with B, and that
she has to top it next go, otherwise B's going to be sitting one ahead of her.
Yeah,
and that's going to make it really hard to survive into the next round.
Having said that, we've already had one upset tonight, so
that's true.
You know, Madison and Leah could just come out and be like, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Straight up, man, it could happen. It could absolutely happen.
Okay. Come on, Andy.
Attempt number 3.
Yeah.
There it is. Great work from Indiana.
So, I mean, now the pressure's on, right? Like, I feel like Leah and Madison now, like, they know that there's been tops. They don't know how many attempts.
Well, they know that there have been tops, and so they have that pressure, but it also allows them that opportunity to lock down the top 2 spots, right? Because both of these previous girls took 3 attempts to get that dyno down. Now they only need to do it in 1 or 2 attempts. If you're confident, that's not too hard. You can see the results so far. Of course, B. Evans took female 2 and 3 attempts. Indiana Chapman is in the exact same situation. And now as Leah takes her first attempt and flashes it. All right.
Yeah.
Leah's not messing around. She wants to win it this year. She's been waiting.
So now my question is, what is Madison feeling right now?
You know, she knows what the problem is. I think she also knows that she's got a buffer with Indiana and B. Evans there. I think she's thinking, okay, you know, I've done a dyno before. Everything on this climb is jugs. What am I afraid of? I'm going to come out here.
I really hope so.
No, I think they're at a point where they've already knocked out the BlocBuster champion.
So you think like Leah and Madison are just sitting?
I think at this point the game is on, and it is head-to-head. Madison and Leah trying to take this thing. Madison not wasting any time, brushing off the shoes, and she's getting ready to go. She wants a flash as well. She doesn't want countbacks to have anything to do with a win. Let's see if she can flash this thing just like Leah did.
Oh my gosh. She doesn't even need that hold.
Easy peasy.
Okay. So.
And with that, we're saying goodbye to Indiana Chapman and B. Evans for the next round. So going into the final problem, fighting for the championship, is going to be Madison Fisher and Leah Wachowski.
I think her foot almost slipped on that. Can we see that again?
If we need to, I'm sure we can. We'll see if we can run that replay one more time just to check how.
Because I think her foot slipped off of the. It might not have fully come off, but I think it adjusted down
on the blocks volume on the
blocks volume.
Interesting. Anyway, if not, we're going to see our men come out, our top 4 men, and if my calculations are correct, I believe we are taking out Eric Libby and Sean Hunter. They'll be presented with their checks and sat back down when they come back out. And I see, what's this? I see some root setters coming out with some extra grips. Okay, we've been talking about what the competitors have been feeling. Let's talk about what their root setters have been feeling, all right? We'll talk about that in a second because the male competitors look like they're ready to go. Okay. So it looks like she did kick back before her foot locked in. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Anyway, Sean Hunter coming out, taking his check. He is.
I wonder if that check is bigger or smaller than his MC check.
Doesn't matter to me. I just wanted him to get to finals. So I'm happy I won that bet. It's all good. And Eric Libby as well being knocked out after problem number 1. So here are our 4 competitors who will be giving their attempt to men's number 2. First of all, Dylan Barks from Michigan, Dylan Saffery from Ontario, Zach Richardson from right here in Climbers Rock, and of course, Lucas Uchida.
It's at this point that I'd like to mention to Tyler that he doesn't have any. Oh, he has 1 climber left in the entire round. I have 2 women and 3 men.
We're not even getting into this. We're not. So this just paints a really important picture of the fact that if we go back to countbacks for this round, we're going all the way back to semifinals. And you know who that disadvantages is Dylan Saffery, who frankly had an exemplary qualifiers. Earning 5 tops in qualifiers was a huge deal because that 5th top was a nails hard problem. And it's not going to be recognized because he had fewer climbs in the semifinals. Anyway, this is men's number 2, starting with those so-ill innies, going up to a very, very shallow damage control crimp, traversing out through some so-ill rectangles on some volumes, and then ending in a really interesting manner. You see to the top right above that big protruding rectangle is a little black mark on the wall above the lip. That is a blocked damage control crimp. It is a quarter pad. There is only about a 1/4 inch between each of those 2 holds, and off of that you have to reef back to a giant damage control sloper, but it is turned backwards. So you finish this climb dunking a glossy, sweaty basketball and hoping you can hold on. Just a super cruel finish. In fact, I think I overheard the route setters saying you have to sit on that protruding rectangle to finish
so you ride it. Yeah. You get like...
Okay.
So like the opening move to this boulder is actually fairly tricky, just because that first crimp is shallow, but it also sits up against the wall. And you'll notice, like you can see right now, this wall looks not as steep as it climbs.
45 degrees. Yeah, the upper section of this problem is
the
still...
whole gym's 45
everything's
degrees.
45 degrees, man. Yeah, the wall on the left is actually a 30-degree overhang, even though it looks vertical.
Yeah.
So you start, that left start hold is 30, and then you pop into that 45-degree roof.
Yeah, and so you get this, like, this blocked edge. The hold underneath the second block's volume is kind of juggy, so it's okay, but that's when you start campusing in a true Climbers Rock fashion. Who needs feet? And so then you get onto that large protruding rectangle, go up to, you can see actually on the screen right now, that blocked crimp and how close it is blocked. And then you use that to kind of like get up onto the ride and finish on, as Tyler said, the dual tech side, so the slippery side of that damage control.
Now, if you're sitting on the rectangle, it shouldn't be too bad because it's going to be like fairly
No, but if you're
static moves.
throwing for it, you're just going to gloss off.
If you're throwing for it, you're dead. Yeah, you're not sticking to anything. You're going straight through the mats and 6 feet under right away. It's just over.
So one important thing about this route map is that the starting right innie is marked as a match. The crimp after that is also marked as a match. And then the block's volume is assigned 1 point as well. So the rectangle is 1 hold, and then matching the block's volume is another point.
That second block's volume above where Dylan is right now, they're expecting you to left-hand meat wrap that thing?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, and just use it to, Dylan.
I think he's going to campus right
okay,
through.
Sure.
There it is.
Who needs feet, Dylan?
Oh, this is looking too easy for Dylan.
Yeah.
That was nothing at all. Interesting that he's actually wrapping the hold. Is he not going to two-hand touch this thing? Reach down, dude. Reach down and touch that freaking hold. I'm curious if that even counts. What do the judges say? The judges are definitely talking and trying to figure out what they think. What's it going to be? And when we find out, we're going to tell you what the judges decide.
Yeah.
So it sounds like one of the many judges are saying that he did in fact top it. So that's going to count as the top. I guess, it is a top-out wall built in like the golden era of top-outs.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody black tape it, and they probably didn't talk about that in ISO, but that's going to count. I was worried he was going to walk straight down the ladder and like not even match the finish, man.
I wonder what the route setters are talking about right now.
I think they were probably talking about the women's problem, and then they saw that happen, and now they're talking about both and really sweating.
Yeah, I'm stressed for them, and I'm not even on the crew. Like, I have no investment in this other than like commentating with you. And
I'm willing to bet you and I have to fill some time while those guys get the drills out and basically develop a super final.
You mean you're going to fill some time while I help out?
It's nice of you to volunteer. All right, Dylan Safari now on this thing on his very first attempt. And if he can do it like Dylan Barks did, this is going to be a walk in the park for him, which is going to put a lot of pressure on the previous climbs.
So say everybody flashes this boulder.
We're going back to semis. And if we go back to semis, the people that are out are Dylan Barks and Dylan Safari.
Wow.
So even though they come out and flash it dominantly, they didn't do enough in semifinals.
That's heartbreaking.
That's just how it goes, man.
That's heartbreaking.
Welcome to elimination finals.
I'm just saying, man, like, you flash a boulder, you expect to stay in.
Hey, I don't disagree, but, that's the rules were clear, and this is how it goes. And, again, this is a huge experiment for everybody, from the organizers, from the route setters. We're going to find out what's up. And, hey, if there are 4 guys that all flash it, good for you, but we got to separate. And all of your performance this weekend counts, and they knew that coming in. Oh, he almost
bumbled that. Yeah. Wow.
And our next climber is out. And you know what? Honestly, what this means is that the amount of pressure on Zach Richardson and Lucas Uchida right now is huge. I'm sure they feel very confident on this climb, and their chances of topping it are extremely high. But now that you know that there's 0 room for error,
yeah.
If you make one, if you get to the top,
like foot slipping the start,
any of it, you're out. This is cutthroat climbing for Zach and Lucas.
I would kick my chalk bag if I skidded off the start. Oh.
This isn't pressure I could deal with. No. I would hand him my scorecard and thank him for the experience and just move right on. Oh, my God. The stress is unreal in this room. You could hear everybody gasping inside. And I'm sure Zach knows where everything sits.
Well, yeah, he came out within like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, he knows what's going on. I'm sure he remembers the semifinal order. Obviously, it's the order they were climbing in. He just cannot mess it up now.
Okay,
and he's saved.
So Dylan Barks is now eliminated due to count back, I think?
Back to his semifinals. Dylan Barks is going to be out, and he won't be progressing to finals.
Wow, this is gnarly.
And again, all the pressure on Lucas Uchida right now. He's going to start his round with the brush, scrub this stuff down, as this very large crowd is extremely nervous for what this performance is going to look like. And hey, you know what? This is one of those situations where you know, okay, if I don't flash it, then I'm out. So I might as well take these 4 minutes to just chill out. I'm going to get on at 1 second.
Yeah,
take this time to
get really, really collected.
Exactly, yeah. But it looks like he's not going to give himself that time to stress out. He's just going to go with this flow, do his thing.
Oh.
And Lucas is going to do everything he can to top this boulder.
If I was Lucas, I'd be climbing this thing like I would be over gripping. I would static every move. Oh, man. I like this.
And now into the campus section. He goes down. That is daring with this kind of stuff on the line.
Wow.
Oh. God. Just rubbing down.
I feel like we're more stressed than the climbers.
They don't know how. Oh, man. I'm sure everybody else at home also knows what's going on. Another top from Lucas Uchida. And that means Dylan Barks and Dylan Safari are both going to be going home on account of countbacks to semifinals.
So
our men's final is going to be Lucas Uchida the defending champion, and Zach Richardson, the only two-time champion of BlocBuster.
Now, my only question is, where are the root setters right now? I want to see who's stressing, because I'm stressed for them.
We haven't had a chance to look at these problems yet, so we're going to see what's going on. Now, the root setters are hanging out. They don't seem to be taking any action at the moment. They are sitting there. They brought those holds out, but nothing else seems to be happening. I don't think they're planning on doing anything. We'll see what goes on. Okay, we know who's going through to this next round. Is this what we expected? Like for men's, this is exactly what we expected.
Yeah.
Both of our top picks are going through the finals or into that very final boulder. For women, who do we say is going through? It's going to be Leah Wachowski
and Madison
Fisher. Leah was your top pick. I think Madison was one of your picks as well. Probably
I think Madison was my second pick.
Yeah, no. And of course, here on screen, B. Evans and Indiana Chapman have their checks, and they'll be going home. And introducing Leah Wachowski and Madison Fisher in the final problem. And this final problem in the women's podium is presented by Lululemon Mapleview. They're providing extra prizes on top of the money for the podium. So thanks to Lululemon Mapleview for supporting this women's category. And I mean, the difference here on this final problem is $750. The winner walks away with $1,500. The loser gets there, well, the second place climber, or at least the loser on this problem, I think we can say that, gets that check. That's not bad.
Oh, I know why they took those holds. Okay.
Anyway, this is women's number 3.
No, so it's missing holds. That's why they...
Again, sorry, we were just so baffled by the situation we were in. You can see a lot of these dimension tsunamis, but at the very bottom, we're starting off again with some rectangles. The holds marked with the blue tape. Moving up through all of those tsunamis and then finishing up. And the big thing about this wall is it is big, it is long, and it is all 45 degrees.
Of course it's 45
There's
degrees.
no angles. There's going to be no space for wrestling in a corner. This is where finals always ends at BlocBuster. It is the 45, the only 45. And now Leah and Madison get to preview this problem, feel it all out. Now, in my opinion, looking at this problem, these holds are good. Rectangles, you can grab them from any angle and they feel amazing. The tsunamis are the flat hold jugs. Like, they are really good holds. A lot of ability for compression when you mount them in the steep. The one I'm worried about is the innie. Aside from the fact that because the rectangles are there and that tsunami is there to the right of it, there's a ton of room to use your feet to help you control that and move out of it. What were the root setters thinking with this particular climb?
Well, and that's exactly it, actually. The hard part about this boulder is the innie, the move to the next flat hold. You cross with a heel in the first tsunami, and you got to keep that tension while you match, and then float back out to this undercling tsunami to go to the finish. It's steep, it's powerful, it's everything that BlocBuster really is about. So we'll see. Both of these girls are very, very powerful. And
I can't wait, man.
this is kind of their style. So
Leah Wachowski is the hometown hero in this case. She has to go first, so that's a lot of pressure on her. I don't know, man. I've been saying for a couple years that I think she's the one next in line to win this thing. You know, I skipped that pick because I had first pick for the women, and Bronwyn winning 2 years in a row.
Seems
Those
like
are
a
the
safe
kind
bet.
of things. It's a safe bet, and of course knocked out in the first round. And now it is open. Leah has finished this event third place 2 years in a row, and the last person she's left with is Madison, who finished twice to second place for the last 2 years. So this is a real head-to-head fight, and we'll see if they can both thug it through. If Leah can get a flash on this, that would be unreal pressure and a really good way to finish her round of women's number 3.
Oh,
and this is the
that's
kind of
smart
thing
her
that
to
she
come
can do.
back down. That's really intelligent.
Just
okay.
missing it. So I don't believe she matched on this tsunami, the second last one. So I believe she's currently left with a 5+ on her first attempt.
Yes, I would agree.
If I have this right. So this move she just made, that gets her 3 points.
So this
4 points for getting the innie. And then that next hold up at the top left is marked for 5th and 6th. She only, maybe she does match when she gets the left hand up here. So she may be going with the 6+.
she does. Yeah, she has 6+.
There you go.
Okay.
So 6+ for Leah Wachowski on her first attempt. And a climb like this requires a lot of rest time. So she's going to be chilling out getting herself recomposed. I really like the heel, but it may have been a little too low and trapped her, not getting to the good part. She didn't even get to the chalked up section.
I almost think that Leah is
next
strong enough to just toss into that.
Well, she did there, but I don't know if she got to the good part. I think she hit something, but it wasn't the part that she needed.
It's important to note that the innie is the bad one as well. It's not the.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't differentiated all the innies yet. I haven't spent that much time with them. Generally too hard for me. But anyway.
It's not the good one.
Second attempt for Leah Wachowski. And that has already opened the door for Madison in the next round. But Leah would really like to top this thing and give Madison as few opportunities as possible to take this win. That's you're going to need a lot of power to get to that next hold and a lot of tension to hold that.
Tyler, my hands are so sweaty right now. I am nervous for everyone involved, not just the climbers, the route setters. I'm nervous for the crowd. I don't know.
This is pretty wild, and we should just say that if this does go to countbacks, we are going all the way back to semifinals, in which case Madison Fisher will be the winner. I don't think that's going to happen because we're already seeing, different hold heights. We haven't seen a flash. But if everything stays tied, Madison Fisher is currently sitting in the she's sitting pretty right now. And she might be able to walk away with this.
I don't think she's sitting pretty. I think she's in ISO sitting there being like, okay, now I have to do stuff.
No kidding, man.
Yeah.
But again, we said the one climber that's been knocking her down these last couple of years is Brahman Karnas, and she's already gone. So, the door is open. And Leah, with only a minute and 10 before she can get on her last attempt, she's really got to pull this out of the bag right now.
But it's 4+ still, right?
It is 4+.
So yeah, I don't think we see her get on until...
Well, that's a great question. With a climb like this, after these previous climbs, although the last one was a flash, and in fact her previous attempt was a flash as well.
Actually, she's going to get on.
If you do get on now, do you think you'd have the gas to get on right at the end? Like, if you get on now, let's say it takes about...
I don't even know if that's a consideration, because I would think that, keep in mind, myself, I never competed in 4+ because we didn't use it back then. Yeah, I'm that old.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah, I'm that old. But
she's taking it all the way to the end. She knows that this is going to be her last attempt. This is what could make or break. She could be the BlocBuster champion with one really good attempt. And of course, that comes with a really big check with your name on it.
It's a risky business, though. What if you have a foot slip on this boulder?
Well, she's leaving a couple extra seconds.
That's a couple extra
This is Leah Wachowski on her final attempt of the final problem of the BlocBuster Finals 2019. Let's see if she can do enough to hold off Madison Fisher. This is how far she's gotten before, but now she has to make this toss and get that next flat hold tsunami.
She's hesitating right now and considering. Oh,
not enough.
Okay, so that would be
she's going to end with
6+
a 6+ on her first attempt.
Yeah.
So in this case, Madison Fisher could win this event without getting to the top. I'm just excited to see what kind of noises this crowd makes the second Madison touches the hold beyond that, if that happens.
Oh, we're both going to go deaf.
This place is going to light up.
Yeah.
Madison Fisher's been on the up and up for the last couple of years. She's beaten all of these climbers in the past, whether it's been at an open Ontario Open Nationals, different locals, different events. But here at BlocBuster, it comes with the money, it comes with the cachet, it comes with all of you great watchers at home that are getting this in your memory and starting to think that Madison Fisher might be the newest BlocBuster champion.
Not to mention all of the bragging rights, because that's what it's really
all
about.
Of the bragging rights. If you can conquer this 45, it's a huge
always
deal.
The 45. Oh.
All right. So, in order for Madison Fisher to now win, Madison Fisher must secure the 7th hold.
What happened here? Did she just...
I think she popped that heel out.
Just decided to go backstep?
The grip just wasn't where she expected it. Okay, so Madison Fisher has to get that 7th hold at some point in the rest of her time. Otherwise, Leah Wachowski has taken it with a 6+. She's not going to make that mistake again.
Okay.
And now's where it gets real. We'll see if she pops that heel hook on the tsunami or not. Goes for a toe instead.
Interesting.
Considering all of it, this is going to make it slightly harder for her to get up high, but she may still trade out for a heel. She doesn't. She keeps the straight legs and manages to get the match. She's now at 6. Not enough. That is 6 points on her second attempt. Still trailing Leah Bukowski by just a
Tyler
plus.
right now, but he's leaning over the table. He is. There's so much anticipation.
I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna relax.
There's so much anticipation in him right now.
And
he's wiping his hands like I am because so sweaty.
This is gonna be great. And this looks so good, but what happens? She manages to get this, but I'm worried that the toe. Well, I guess her left foot is able to get her out of that trap.
I think she wasn't on the good part of that second tsunami. Like she seemed like she was at the bottom of it, but as you progress up into that,
she needed to get a little more meat on that.
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
And then she would have been able to readjust a little easier.
I also don't think that would have been 6+.
What Madison just did?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I don't think so. Yeah,
No.
I think she popped off holding that. So yeah, no, Leah is in the lead by just a plus right now. 1 minute 30 seconds to go. No matter what, we're crowning a new BlocBuster champion in the women's category, sponsored by Lululemon Mapleview and presented by Climbers Rock. And it all comes down to these rectangles and these tsunamis and this 45-degree legend of a wall. This is too much fun, man.
I love this comp.
Seconds.
Every year. And she knows what's up.
And this is a scenario where Madison probably doesn't know where she needs to get to, but when she does hit that move, when she hits that next hold, the crowd is going to go
explode
nuts.
Yeah.
45 seconds left. Madison needs to match that tsunami above where her hands are now, and she needs to reach out and secure one more hold.
She has 30 seconds though. She can start again.
33 seconds of rest.
Yeah, but she can go again.
She can. She can. It would be off. Like, this place is going to explode if she gets this. If not, it's going to explode anyway, because Leah Bukowski in a few minutes is going to be crowned the brand new BlocBuster
can you imagine what kind of emotions are going through Leah right now?
Leah's been fighting for this for so many years.
And she's watching Madison just...
She must be... Okay, her hands are sweating way more than mine are.
I don't know. Like, when I was competing and this was a situation that I was in, I was out in the parking lot.
2 seconds left. Maddie's on at the very last second. This is it, guys. If she can get that second last tsunami, Madison Fisher is taking home all the money. Trying a bit of a knee for the match. This scares me.
No, that's not the answer.
She needs to get some sort of...
Oh, don't do it.
Not enough for Madison Fisher. And with that, we're going to be crowning Leah Bukowski in a few minutes as the BlocBuster champion for 2019. I need a shower. I need a drink. This is getting... All right, okay. What an excellent way to finish up on the women's. Just right down to the last second, there were opportunities for this final to make the top. And now we're down to the men on men's number 1. The last 2 men coming out by count back to semifinals is going to be Lucas Uchida and Zach Richardson. Both of them have flashed problem number 1 and problem number 2 of finals. Before that, we're going to bring out our 4th and 3rd place finalists, Dylan Barks and Dylan Saffery, both of whom taking their checks home.
That's still got to be hard though, man. Like you flashed the boulder that you were supposed to, you know?
Sure. You did everything you needed to in this round, but it turns out you didn't do it hard enough earlier on, man. It's the cruel world of bouldering comps. And these are the 2 guys fighting for the title. And it comes down to our 2 picks, Zach Richardson and Lucas Uchida. Lucas Uchida has been a multiple gold medalist at Pan Am youth events. Zach Richardson just won the Open Pan Am Bouldering Championship last fall, or I guess in the winter technically, down in Ecuador. These guys have both been competing in World Cups for the last couple seasons. They're both two of the most promising climbers in Canada. Lucas Uchida is on the development squad for Team Canada. Zach is on the talent ID squad. Both of them are people that this country is keeping an eye on, and they expect them to be the next Sean McCalls in bouldering. And this is men's number 3. This climb is all about Jimmy's Southern Slopers. Those big pink slopers, they have very subtle edges on them. And then, of course, starting off with a flat hold Tsunami and moving into the dual text damage control series. So you can see this line starting in the right, immediately hits into that 45, cruising through these volumes into an undercling. You've got a tiny little damage control crimp on the penultimate volume that's sitting right behind the light, and then it finishes on a blind throw around to another sloper where you don't know where the edge is. There's an edge on that somewhere to hold on to, but you are going to have to guess unless you're going to lock it off. And locking off is possible. We also saw some beta in semifinals where the guys were actually grabbing the corners of the wall. So I'm super curious if the guys get up there, how are they going to finish this thing?
I mean, this boulder is going to be interesting. When I was talking to Caleb about it, it has a very low percentage move at the start. Although it should be noted that that first pink sloper, you can just statically go up to it and get 3 points.
Okay.
So it's marked as the 3rd point, and then 4 and 5 are the damage control that we see just above Zach's head right now.
And that hole's actually pretty juggy.
Yes. And
even I was able to one-arm hang off that, so that's
yeah. But your entire body is around the corner
with
this with the toe hook on the Tsunami, and then you tension release and catch this pink sloper, which is actually horrible. It's not good at all. And you match that up, get that crimp, go to the undercling, another damage control, and this move is the next real move, is crossing to that like small crimp, and that crimp's not good either. Just throwing it out there.
I wouldn't expect it to be at this point.
Yeah.
Zach Richardson.
Well, I mean, there is a jug on the the damage control jug is right there. It's just on the 45.
Sure. Yeah. So Zach Richardson's going to be our first one out. 4 minutes plus. He's won this event twice. He wants to take it 3 times. This is his home gym. This is where he started climbing. This is where he's been training for years. He had that title 2 years ago, and then Lucas Uchida, the next guy to come out, is the one that stole it from him last season. Zach wants it back. 4 minutes plus. Shocked up, and the judges say he's ready to go, and that clock is going. Here we go with a loud Burlington crowd for the homeboy Zach Richardson and current Pan Am bouldering champion.
Yeah, this crowd is always loud. It feels like it's bigger than it actually is.
And after that women's final, these guys are ready for a top, right? They want something
prime
to celebrate. Let's just hope it's not 2 tops.
Okay, so Zach already taking a fall.
Not as good.
But
as
he has the right beta.
I have a feeling this climb's going to come down to attempts anyways. I personally think the flash chance is not that good.
But you think both climbers will do it?
I think there's a chance for both of them to do it. I am worried the most about that pink sloper on the volume that you talked about, right in the center of the climb, right in the center of the wall. That move out to it where you've got no other holds nearby to kind of control a swing. So I think it's this next move that's going to decide what happens.
Oh.
Now, if he can campus it, then it might be a whole different ball game.
Wow.
This is 2nd attempt for Zach Richardson.
Oh, don't even bother with that hold, eh?
This is interesting. That's 8 points.
This is his 2nd attempt,
He's
right?
going to skip the match.
Oh. So you can see, I don't know if we can get the replay on that, but that crimp is horrible.
It is a quarter pad.
It's so bad.
Yeah, no, real bad. Okay, I think at this point, Zach knows that this is doable. I think he spent a lot of time playing around with some different positioning.
Yeah, he's also got that interesting heel toe cam between the damage control and the dimension volume.
So I think at this point he knows what he wants to do. And I'm curious, the route setters have marked this the undercling sloper that Zach was just brushing. They have marked that as 8 and 9. So that suggests that a match is something that the route setters have considered possible. They think that you could pass this thing.
they bridged it with the crimp. So whether you get the crimp and then the undercling, or you go to the undercling first and then the crimp.
Okay, so Zach in that case scored the 8 and the 9.
Yes.
So that would have been a 9+ at least. Maybe they gave him control in that crimp for a 10. I honestly don't know. We'll have to see what the judges say later
I
on.
would be surprised if that was control.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, if I was judging, that wouldn't be control, but
Sure.
that's why I'm a root setter instead of a judge. Because I'd be ruthless.
Yeah, we don't have a clock on screen right now, but if we can tell
Yeah,
you
we
the
do
time.
have a clock on
Never mind, just as I said it. A minute 21 to go. I think Zach is only going to take one more attempt on this.
Well, I think on a boulder like this, you can only take like 2 really good attempts.
It is
It's
very
very
long.
physical. It's very hard. It climbs out that steep.
You know what? I think he could take 2 if he's willing to give like one crazy burn and maybe try using those jugs and those heel toe cams that he found, maybe try and use that as a rest.
I think he's just going to rest until the end. Yeah. I think he's like...
This is so ballsy, man.
I think he's getting collected. The only thing is that when he fell off that crimp, I think if he turned, like, his left foot was on that bad sloper, and I think if he turned that in to be a knee drop, it'll keep him in more and allow him to cross more securely to that, and then still the last move is...
Oh, all right, he's getting back on with some attitude, and let's see if those predictions you just said pan out. We'll see if he goes for some slightly different beta. But again, he learned his lesson from the first attempt. And at this point, he's entering the zone of no return with no chance, really, to get back on the wall.
Come on, Zach.
This is the attempt he wants to do it
turn
on.
it
Not enough, but he's looking at the clock, and he knows he can get back on it. I don't know if he's going to do it with only a couple seconds left. The crowd is...
Hey, this is his last go.
The crowd wants not enough. And Zach with what looks like either a 9+ or a 10.
I believe it's a
second
9+.
attempt. You want to say 9+? I'm okay with that.
And that's on his second go.
Yeah, on his second go.
Which leaves the door open for Lucas Uchida to take his second BlocBuster title.
Yes, you are right, Dustin. And as much as my predictions don't want to admit it, things could be looking good for Lucas. We saw how close Zach was. Like, Zach made it clear that this climb is possible.
Yeah.
Lucas and Zach haven't had many opportunities to climb against each other since an
Very
event
true.
like Nationals. So it's been a really long time since these guys have gone head-to-head. There have been events where both of them have beaten each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is really anyone's game. Again, the root setters predicted that this one would go to Lucas. I personally predicted Zach. You predicted Lucas.
I also won the women's predictions.
Yeah, okay, well, you know, we can talk about that later, whatever, fine.
So Lucas just got +3.
+3, and of course, now he nails the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah.
Already doing better than Zach on the first attempt, and looking so good, even going dynamic to that hold. This looks too good. This might just be the lock.
Yeah, and now he's going to lock in this knee drop. I hope he...
I think he's going for it.
Wow.
That is some strength in the left hand. This is all Lucas Uchida's.
Wow.
Lucas for the repeat defense. You have your not a brand new, you've got your repeat 2-time BlocBuster champion, Lucas Uchida, with a flash on finals number 3.
That's incredible.
So good right from the start. Like, not even considering going static, saying, I feel great today. I'm going to go for this double clutch dyno right off the start, even though I don't have to. Going for that dynamic cross to this sloper, just looking excellent the entire way through.
And then this is where I really think that this is madness. Not even looking at all at that knee drop. Just, I'm going to drive by and stick that hold. I know I can.
He locks and closes the crimp there, and at that point, you're good to go. If you are sunk into that crimp, you're going to be able to pull up off it, get into that finish, and that is it. That is a big check going to Lucas. So at this point, the scores are going to be tabulated. We're going to get a podium out in just a second, but I want to get your reflections on this format. So did this go the way you expected?
A little bit, yeah. I think there's some interesting little nuances that could be picked up from the root setting perspective. The women's round a little easy on the second boulder, and same with the men's, actually a little easy on the second boulder.
It's interesting because, like we said, the root setters went into it with this rough idea of, okay, problem number 1, we're going to have a long climb. We're going to separate them just by distance and endurance. And the second problem, we're going to do a dyno because it's a big comp. We're all about big moves here. Let's put in that dyno and try and make it down to attempts. As it turns out, they just couldn't get that separation with those dynos. It sounds like we've got a highlight reel we're going to throw to. So let's take a look at some of the best moments of this BlocBuster finals. And again, you see here Indiana Chapman on women's number 1. Indiana managed to lock down the first top of this climb with a flash, and she showed everybody it was possible.
And just talking about that really quickly, there was watching it again, you notice that when she sticks that finishing hold, she's really pulling with her right foot, trying to stay on that hold because it is angled the wrong way, basically.
Yes, yeah. I thought that was a unique situation. And here, Leah Wachowski, again, she started the train of these flashes on problem number 1. So Indiana and Leah both flashing it at this point, and that would be followed up by on flash by Madison Fisher. Right here, Madison Fisher also going to the flash, and this is what knocked out Raman Parnas, is that she just couldn't get to that top. She got so close. Even if she had hit that hold to the left, if she had just scored the 11 instead of going straight to the finish, Raman could have stayed in this thing. But the nature of this comp just knocking you out. Eric Libby on men's number 1. A really good performance from him in this competition. He managed to top it, but that wasn't enough to keep him into the next round, and even with a top.
And Dylan Barks campusing through like a boss.
In this moment, I thought that Dylan was possibly going to be there to win because the amount of confidence he came out with on this climb looked so good, but it came down to that second problem. Everybody flashes, goes back to countbacks. Turns out it doesn't matter. You're out of this thing. And again, Lucas Uchida also taking the flash.
Our BlocBuster champion. He almost bumbled that. I can't even believe that.
He did go really dynamic.
Were you watching that? I'm so surprised that how close he came to bumbling that.
Yeah, B. Evans was our first climber to, if I have that right, to get on women's number 2. Took her a few attempts, but she ended up managing to sink that dyno.
Well, yeah, both her and Indy took 3 attempts.
Yeah, Indy as well, and she was the first one to use that paddle. Again, fighting that height difference, but managing to use the right data. That was enough to get her there. Leah coming in with the undeniable flash. And this is really where we started to see her and Madison Fisher saying, neither of us are letting go. We are both going to take this thing. We're fighting it right to the end. Madison there, both hands straight in, not leaving it up to chance. Sinking it with both, locking it down. Very confident finish from her.
Then again, men's number 2, Dylan Barks making it look cash, but...
And it turned out that was the theme for this problem, is all 4 men walking this problem. Just not hard enough for these boys. Either that or they were just so out of their minds, ready to crush, that they all achieved some superhuman strength. And Dylan almost threw this attempt away by walking away from the problem.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Fortunately, he leaned down and gets both hands and earns the actual top. Topping out is not enough. You got to get both hands. Dylan Saffery followed it up shortly with another dominant top. And a theme that we would see through Zach and Lucas as well.
Just a really interesting round, really interesting format. And hey, we didn't screw it up at least once.
I think we got, for the most part, we got the rules right. Yeah, we've been trying to research this format for like a week, try to make sure we remember all the details. I think we did okay. Yeah, I think my reflections of this are, I was really excited tonight. I had a really good time. I think this is a format that other people should try. I would definitely not use it if I was trying to determine, I wouldn't use this if I was trying to use it as a qualifier for a different event. Obviously, there is so much chance in the order of the problem, so this is a full entertainment value type of comp.
Yeah.
This is the kind of comp that should come with a big prize pool. The competitors should come in knowing, hey guys, you're all awesome at this, but you got to play by these rules. It's not going to be a fair game necessarily. You got to throw down, and whoever survives it is going to be the one walking away with the check. And then, of course, it comes down to Lucas Uchida's top on men's number 3, the only top of the final problem for men or women. It was a flash. Every move of it looked so confident. And there you see the final score. Lucas Uchida flashed every problem but one through this entire comp.
Wow.
And I believe, the only problem he didn't flash was qualifier number 1, where he was too cocky and threw early. So that was his very first problem in the comp, was the only one he didn't top. Oh. And of course, our podium presentation in 3rd place, Indiana Chapman from Toronto. Great climbing from her. That dyno is super impressive. I love getting to see that. Second place, Madison Fisher. Madison Fisher, her third year in a row, coming second place. She is going to be pissed.
Madison, are you going to just
coming out of this comp?
I feel like you should take up residence on that podium spot, Madison.
And Leah Wachowski waited so long for this and finally earns the first place. Look at that girl. She is happy about that. Some great climbing. Everything she did was enough to get her that win. Everybody here is super proud of her. Great work from them. It's nice to see a new podium. It's nice to see new blood coming into the podium. Born 2003 on this podium, man. That's and this is an open competition. Very, very cool stuff. And of course, the men coming out now. The men's podium presented by Mountain Equipment Co-op Burlington. They're going to receive some extra gifts from our local Mountain Equipment Co-op. Mountain Equipment Co-op has been supporting climbing in Canada for so long. Recently signed on for a huge deal with our national body. So big thanks to the MEC for supporting climbers around Canada and, of course, right here in Burlington for this event. Dylan Safari in third place. In second place, homeboy Zach Richardson for the second year in a row.
Wait, is that the same podium as last year?
No, it is not the same podium as last year. I can't remember who came third. Dylan Barks came third last year. But Dylan came second 2 years ago. And, of course, our winner, our two-time champion, Lucas Uchida, with a really dominant performance. Just flashes upon flashes upon flashes. Such a great job from this guy. With what a podium. What a podium, man. And again, the three guys that we talked about, these are going to be the guys that really get far in this comp. Both of us were picking these guys as favorites. So great work from them. I think everybody here had a great time. And for a comp that's run so long and now to change formats, there was a lot of skepticism within me. I think within the route setters, everybody was kind of like, this is a really different thing to try. But all in all, I think it paid off. I don't know how you guys feel at home. Leave it in the chat. I don't know. But yeah, your overall feelings. Do you think like this was a comp that kept you interested?
Yeah, this was a blast, man. Like this morning, I told you the semifinal round was insanely good. Like I thought there was emotions, there were the trials and tribulations. Things happened. We got 6 climbers to go to finals. The boulders themselves were really, really, really well set, and they looked good, and they climbed well. They got the results that they needed. Finals, again, trying a different format. This is amazing. Like the crowd is off the hook. Anticipation was high. I mean, we didn't make any casting mistakes because I told you leading up to this, I was like, hopefully I'm going to say that this person is going to move on and they're not going to show up. Yeah. So amazing. Like, what a cool format. Yeah. What a good comp.
Yeah, I hope everybody watching is as psyched as we are about this event and just kind of, I hope your palms are as sweaty as ours. I hope you got wet spots on your thighs right now from trying to dry off. No matter where you are, make sure you support your local live stream. If there are comps running near you, make sure you check it out. We want to thank eThere Live, the entire crew there, for putting on this event, helping us out with replays and all this incredible work. They've been growing to make their live stream product really good for climbing, so we can't thank them enough. Of course, thanks to Climbers Rock, thanks to the route setters. Can you list off the route setters for me? I'm blanking.
Matt Phillips, overall chief, Caleb Thomas, and Nathan Lewis, with their assistants, Jamie Roy and Mark Lee.
Mark Lee, yeah, exactly.
I want to point out the production company had a drone.
There was I don't know if we saw any drone shots, but
I don't know, but like that to me is insane.
There was literal air traffic in this gym today. So anyway, no matter where you are, support your local live stream, support your local competitions. If you live in Canada, make sure you check the Tour de Bloc calendar and find your event like this near you. Go out to compete for fun or take it seriously and try and win some money. And if you're in Burlington, if you're a real local, come on down tomorrow or sometime this week. Get on the problems. The qualifying round is still up. Finals are still up. And, of course, all of the citizens comps, so any climber of any level can get back on these things. Dustin, I had a great time. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Man, I love streaming with you. It's good.
It was a good time, and I'm glad we didn't have the camera on us through those more tense moments because I genuinely excited.
Tyler was sitting like this, okay? He's like all over this desk. Just
I shrink when I tense up, man. I get Anyway, from myself, I'm Tyler Norton of Plastic Weekly.
I'm Justin Curtis, purveyor of Destiny.
And we can't thank you guys enough for watching. We'll see you guys next year at BlocBuster 2020.
Go!